Good evening. This is the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and tonight we of course will be focusing on what's been happening in France, where more incidents have taken place. Also, the island nation of Sri Lanka saw democracy make swift changes right at the top. All that and more over the next half hour. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. France faces a double hostage crisis. Gunmen killed 2 and take several hostage near Paris. French police launched massive operation to nab Charlie Hebdo massacre suspects. Maithripala Sirisena takes oath as the new president of Sri Lanka, ends the 10-year rule of Mahinda Rajapaksa in a tightly contested presidential race. Governor's rule has been imposed in Jammu and Kashmir after caretaker Chief Minister Omar Abdullah steps down. PDP National Conference engaged in blame game. Curtains were drawn on the 13th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas today as Vice President and Home Minister called for deeper emotional bonds with Indian expats. And the national capital records its third swine flu death, 31 cases reported in Delhi within a month. Well, our top story tonight, 2 intense standoffs with gunmen are underway in and around Paris today. 2 people are reportedly killed in fresh hostage crisis, where 2 gunmen took several people hostage at a grocery market. Meanwhile, the French police have surrounded a warehouse near Paris, where the fugitive suspects of the Charlie Hebdo massacre have reportedly taken another hostage.
Twin hostage drama has unfolded in France. Even as the manhunt for Charlie Hebdo suspects enter a decisive phase, fresh shootouts and hostage crisis was reported at a supermarket in eastern Paris. 2 people were killed and several people have been taken hostage in the fresh crisis. French authorities have released sketches of 2 suspects who are believed to have killed a policewoman on Thursday.
Il y a à peu près 50-55 minutes, un individu a été signalé, un individu de type africain porteur d'une Kalachnikov a été signalé présent là à hauteur du 23 avenue de la Porte de Vincennes face à une épicerie cachère.
Not far from the kosher supermarket, in a warehouse, anti-terrorist forces have surrounded the French industrial town. Teams of cops with choppers are in pursuit of Charlie Hebdo suspects. There are also unconfirmed reports that they have taken a hostage as well.
Qui mobilise l'ensemble des services présents sur zone, dont la mobilisation sur le terrain et la présence à proximité du lieu en raison des opérations engagées hier permet une réactivité dans la région.
French Prime Minister Manuel Valls declared that France was at war with terrorism, but not with a war against religion. Meanwhile, UN Human Rights Chief called for a restraint.
Nous devons tout faire pour assurer la protection de nos concitoyens. Notre pays a été victime ces dernières décennies d'attentats, d'agressions.
We need a moment of calm now. We do not need retaliation. Neither Islam nor multiculturalism in Europe is to blame for the bloody attack.
The security situation has affected flights at the main airport in Paris, which is in the vicinity. Officials at the airport say they have changed landing and takeoff patterns for flights. Most parts of eastern Paris have been locked down, with people advised to stay indoors. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Well, on to Sri Lanka now, where Maithripala Sirisena is the new president of the island nation. Sirisena's outright victory in the elections, a surprise for many, ends the decade-long tenure of Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is credited with ridding the country of the LTTE insurgency, but is also blamed for anti-Tamil war crimes and authoritarianism.
Till just a few weeks back, Maithripala Sirisena was a minister in outgoing President Mahinda Rajapaksa's government, till he broke away in November and decided to contest against Rajapaksa for Sri Lanka's top job. Sirisena is set to lead a potentially fractious coalition of ethnic, religious, Marxist and centre-right parties.
සියලු දෙනාටම රටේ සමස්ත පුරවැසියන්ට සතුටින් බෙදා හදා ගැනීමට අපි ඉඩ දිය යුතුයි. ඒ නිසා කිසියම් ආකාරයකින් හිංසා පීඩා කිරීමෙන් වැළකීලා ඊ타මත්ම අවිහිංසාවාදීව කරුණා සහගතව
People of Sri Lanka gave a message that they want to change and we want to fulfill their desires.
Celebrations had begun even as initial trends came in. What wasn't expected is that there were no signs of protests or any major mobilization of security forces. A completely smooth transition of power with Rajapakse conceding defeat. Sri Lanka's Elections Commission came in for praise. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Sirisena on his victory, writing on Twitter, "I spoke to Sri Maithripala Sirisena and congratulated him. I congratulate the people of Sri Lanka on the peaceful and democratic poll process."
जिस नई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को जीत हासिल हुई है उसको मैं हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं.
Both Rajapakse and Sirisena are Sinhalese, but in a sharp contrast, Sirisena has the support of the biggest Tamil political grouping, underscoring anger over continued presence of the army in the north and lack of political autonomy. Political parties in Tamil Nadu voice hopes of a sea change on treatment of Tamils under the new regime.
It's a happy moment for all the Tamils living the world over. But whether the new incumbent will protect the Tamils or do something in favor of the Tamils has to be seen.
Sri Lanka watchers echo the importance of this power shift in Sri Lanka for India from the bilateral as well as geostrategic viewpoint.
I consider this victory of the opposition in Sri Lanka is a major victory for Tamilians, and it proved against the genocide of more than 60,000-70,000 Tamilians by Rajapakse is now proved.
Sirisena has pledged to abolish the executive presidency that gave Rajapakse unprecedented power, crack down on corruption and hold fresh parliamentary elections within 100 days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And to help us understand this change of power equations in Sri Lanka, we have with us Amit Barua. He's the resident editor of The Hindu and has, of course, also been the Sri Lanka correspondent for The Hindu. So, Amit, I mean, it really wasn't expected to go this way. Mahinda Rajapakse seemed firmly in control of Sri Lanka. What went wrong for him?
Well, I think, pundits had said that this would be a tough fight, because I think there was a formidable alliance that, was built against him. Your report mentioned the Tamil National Alliance, but also crucial was the support of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress. Ministers defected just before the elections. So I would imagine that a consolidation of minority votes with a significant minority of the majority Sinhalese voting, I think that's really what turned the tables on Mr. Rajapakse, who looked quite invincible for a long time. And I think it's a lesson for those who practice the politics of authority or authoritarianism, as has been described, that if there is a formidable alliance, then your style and your authority may not be enough to see you through. And also, I think the role of Mr. Rajapakse's family has been under constant scrutiny and a considerable criticism. Right. So all these things put together, I think Mr. Sirisena came out at the right time. He built the right alliances with the United National Party of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. He got support from the former president, Chandrika Kumaratunga. So a lot of things came together. And above all, I think the dissatisfaction and the fact that Rajapakse had been president for 2 terms already, all those things put together, I think that's what really turned the tables. And that's why we see this very dramatic democratic verdict that the people of Sri Lanka have given.
Yes, certainly. Democracy seems to be flourishing in Sri Lanka. But if we talk about from the Indian perspective now, and also from perhaps a more global perspective for Sri Lanka, but first coming to India, as far as India is concerned, how should India view this change of power?
Well, the Prime Minister has been very quick off the blocks. He spoke to Mr. Sirisena in the morning itself. He congratulated himself. He's invited him to visit India. So, Sri Lanka and India have always had close ties. We have issues between the two countries, as any neighbors have. But my own sense is that there have been concerns about China's role in Sri Lanka. But I think the role that India plays in Sri Lanka is quite different from what the Chinese might play. I think that the new government will be careful in how it deals with India. and Indian interests will be taken into account. There was significant support that India extended on the human rights issue to the Rajapakse government. I think that those issues will, sort of take the back seat. But I think the critical thing will be how Mahindrapala Sirisena Maithripala Sirisena deals with the entire issue of the Tamil national question, the rights of the Tamilian people.
Yes, in fact, Amit, that would bring me to my next question, which would be, as far as, a lot of allegations, of course, are there against Mahinda Rajapakse and his entire regime. So do we see any kind of a political witch hunt, or do you think Sri Lanka has moved on beyond that? And as far as this, the call for trying Rajapaksa goes, it's mostly limited to the Tamil nationalist parties, also the Tamil parties in India.
Well, clearly there are significant issues relating, to allegations of torture and, killing of innocent Tamilians when the war ended in Sri Lanka. But I think more critical is probably the attitude that the new government displays towards the Tamil people, the issues of their rights, the issues of their language issues, their issues of culture, all the issues that have concerned the Tamilian people. So how the new government addresses this, how they take the entire country forward, because remember, if political action is initiated, we do have instances in South Asia where polities tend to get very divisive and divided. Right. So I really don't know. It's for the Sri Lankans to decide, how they want to deal with the issue of war crimes or allegations of war crimes. But clearly, I think that the issue of the Tamil people and the fact that the Tamil people have reposed their faith by voting in large numbers for Mr. Sirisena, I think that they would now expect that this government should now begin to deliver and address their concerns and make them feel like more equal citizens in a united Sri Lanka.
All right, we leave it over there. Amit Barua, thank you very much for coming in and sharing perspective on this change of power in Sri Lanka. And of course, India will also be keeping a keen eye on it. Thanks very much. All right, moving on now. Governor's rule has been imposed in Jammu and Kashmir after Omar Abdullah decided to step down as the caretaker chief minister. None of the parties have been able to stake claim for the government so far, over a fortnight after the assembly results were out. However, the two top parties, the PDP and the BJP, remain confident that talks on government formation will be very fruitful.
Governor's rule was imposed in Jammu and Kashmir after political parties failed to muster the requisite number to form the new government. The decision came after Governor N.N. Vohra submitted a report to the President that contained some suggestions, including the option of a spell of governor's rule. Caretaker Chief Minister Omar Abdullah's call to step down has reportedly hastened the decision. National Conference blamed PDP for failing to stitch up an alliance to form the next government.
It is for the single largest party, PDP, to try to make sense out of this and explain to the people that with all those offers of support, if they are claiming that they had ideological issues with the BJP, then, they had offers of support from the Congress and NC as well. It is for them to explain why they have forced the state into governor's rule.
This is the sixth time in history that the state has seen governor's rule. The political parties are now running out of time to form a government before the term of the current assembly expires on January 19th. And there is still no sign that they can form an alliance before the deadline ends. While BJP remains confident that its talks with other political parties will prove fruitful, PDP slammed Omar Abdullah for forcing governor's rule in the state.
It is Omar Abdullah who is forcing the state into the governor's rule, not us. We want this state to be given a permanent peace, stable peace, and that is what a government that we want to make, a stable government, a fully representative government.
It's a constitutional requirement that has come into play because of Mr. Abdullah demitting office. And I do not believe that that has any bearing on the efforts currently underway to form an alliance or form a government under alliance. So the BJP continues to explore options.
The state had witnessed a similar stalemate 12 years ago when Farooq Abdullah had also stepped down as caretaker chief minister in 2002. Back then, Omar's father, Farooq Abdullah, refused to continue as the caretaker chief minister after PDP and Congress failed to cobble up an alliance to form government. With Bureau Inputs, Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time for a very quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, Shashi Tharoor breaks his silence in the Sunanda Pushkar case. Details of that on the other side. Welcome back here with the news tonight. Now, the 3-day-long Pravasi Bharatiya Divas conclave in Gandhinagar came to a close today, with the Vice President and the Home Minister calling for a deeper emotional bond with the overseas Indians. There was a call for persons of Indian origin overseas to play an active role in India's journey of transformation and making use of huge investment opportunities in the country.
On the last day of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, an emotional note. Beyond investments and remittances to a deep emotional bond with the motherland. Both the Vice President and the Home Minister cited the government's Make in India initiative, saying the aim of turning India into a manufacturing powerhouse cannot be realized without the active support of overseas Indians.
भारत को स्वाभिमानी, सशक्त और स्वावलंबी भारत बनाने का काम केवल भारतवासी नहीं कर सकते हैं। जो भारत में रहते हैं केवल वही नहीं कर सकते हैं, बल्कि आप जैसे प्रवासी भारतीयों के भी कंट्रीब्यूशन की भारत को जरूरत है, तभी हम जाकर इस लक्ष्य को हासिल कर सकते हैं। इसलिए मैं आप सबका यह आह्वान करना चाहता हूं, आइए हम सभी मिलकर भारत में इतना अधिक निवेश करें कि भारत को केवल एक इकोनॉमिक पावर ही नहीं, बल्कि एक सुपर इकोनॉमिक पावर के रूप में हम एस्टैब्लिश कर सकें।
Seeking investments for rural growth and integrated development have been a big focus of the 3-day event. Chief ministers from several states made utmost efforts to sell their states as investment destinations.
We have failed to channel this remittance into the real development needs of our state. Now we are trying our best to utilize this for the benefit of both the state and the NRIs.
Already we are focusing New Andhra Pradesh in a big way. It is a strategic location. Any ship transportation, you have to get from Andhra Pradesh or you have to go for Gujarat. That is how it is a gateway for India. And also if you see second largest coastline, not only for India, it is logistics hub for East and also Southeast Asian countries.
This year's edition of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas concluded with awards to 15 delegates for outstanding contribution in various fields. Guyana's President Donald Rabindranath Ramator, Microsoft CEO Satya Narayan Nadella and others have been honoured this time. Amid promises of a new look India when the Pravasi Bharatiya return for the event next year. Bureau Report, Sabha TV.
Now, in a major relief to Bharti Cellular Limited and SR Group in the 2G spectrum case, the Supreme Court today quashed an order summoning Sunil Mittal and Ravi Ruia. The court said the trial court had wrongly applied the legal principle while summoning the duo. The CBI had filed the charge sheet against the company in the case, but the top court said the MD cannot be held liable for a criminal offence of a company. However, the Supreme Court clarified that both could be summoned as accused if and when substantial evidence against them is provided.
जो समनिंग ऑर्डर था इन लोगों को समन करते हुए, क्योंकि सीबीआई ने सिर्फ कंपनीज को चार्जशीट किया था, उनके डायरेक्टर्स या मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर्स वगैरह को चार्जशीट नहीं किया था, जिनको कोर्ट ने समन कर लिया था, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आज उनको राहत देते हुए वो ऑर्डर क्वैश कर दिया है। इसका मतलब अब जो ट्रायल है वो इन लोगों पर नहीं चलेगा।
The Congress MP Shashi Tharoor today made his first public statement since the Delhi police filed a murder case in the death of his wife Sunanda Pushkar. Tharoor said he had been silent the entire year because a police investigation was going on, but was taken aback by the recent developments which he said were based as misinformation and outright lies. He also said that he stood by his earlier statement that there was no foul play in his wife's demise, hoping that the investigation would be done in a free and fair manner without any political pressure.
I was completely taken aback because none of us in the family had any reason to believe that any foul play would have been involved in her passing. I think it's very important that this be done professionally, without any political pressure or political considerations, without any predetermined outcome. There should be a fair inquiry.
Earlier in the day, the Delhi Police Commissioner B.S. Basi said the police will be able to provide some definitive input within 3 to 4 days in the case. His statement comes a day after the SIT quizzed her husband Shashi Tharoor's domestic help Narayan, who has emerged as a key witness in the case. As per reports, Narayan told the police that a guest called Sunil had met Sunanda at the hotel 2 days before she was found dead.
The SIT will go on conducting its investigation, and they'll keep me briefed periodically about their progress. I will like to give you an update after 3-4 days.
Now, swine flu has claimed its third victim in the national capital today. A 38-year-old woman from Uttam Nagar in Delhi succumbed to the H1N1 virus at the Ram Manohar Lohia hospital earlier this morning. She was brought to the hospital in an extremely critical condition on the 4th of January and was put on ventilator support. Her condition worsened late last night. A total of 31 cases of swine flu have been reported in Delhi this year. The southern states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana have reported more than 100 cases.
अब तक सस्पेक्टेड 12 केस एडमिट किए, उससे 3 पॉजिटिव आया जो हमारा नेशनल सीडीसी से करते हैं, सेंटर फॉर डिजीज कंट्रोल में, और 3 पॉजिटिव आया। 3 पॉजिटिव से 2 तो ठीक ठाक हो गए और 1 का डेथ कल रात को हुआ।
Now, most parts of North India continue to be in the grip of a severe cold wave come foggy conditions today. Dense fog continued to affect rail and road services in the region. Visibility was reduced to less than 500 meters. As many as 52 trains in the Northern Railway Division were reported running late. Extreme cold conditions have claimed as many as 160 lives in Uttar Pradesh so far. Up north in Kashmir, Kargil continued to be the coldest place, recording a low of minus 17.2 degrees Celsius. In Jammu and Kashmir, the historical Mughal road connecting the Jammu region with the valley has been shut down due to dense fog. With the shutting down of the 84-kilometer link, people in Jammu have to take an alternate route of about 450 kilometers to reach the valley.
कोहरा पड़ने की वजह से हीरपुर में पीर की गली से आगे वहाँ स्लिपरी हो गया, जिस वजह से डीसी पुंछ ने एक ऑर्डर जारी किया है, तो अभी गाड़ी की मूवमेंट इस रोड पर बंद है और कश्मीर से भी गाड़ियाँ नहीं आ रही हैं अभी इस साइड।
Now let's look at all the other national news we are tracking in nationwide. 92-year-old M. Karunanidhi has been re-elected as DMK president for the 12th term. Karunanidhi's son, M.K. Stalin, will return for a second term as treasurer, which keeps him at number 3 in the DMK's hierarchy, while his daughter M. Kanimori has been appointed secretary of the women's wing. At least 7 terrorists of the National Democratic Front of Bodoland, suspected to be involved in the December 23rd massacre of Adivasis in Assam's Kokrajhar district, were arrested in a pre-dawn joint operation by the army and the state police. A large quantity of sophisticated weapons were also seized, including 4 AK-47 rifles and 1 HK-33 German-made assault gun. The benchmark BSE Sensex gained over 226 points today to close at 27,502 after recovering 365 points on Thursday. The NSE Nifty regained the 8,300 mark in early trade on the back of gains in metal, healthcare and IT stocks. Shares of Infosys were trading 1.11% higher at 1,997 rupees in early trade. Marking Tata's re-entry into the Indian aviation space after 6 decades, new airline Vistara today flew its first official flight. Airline officials said Vistara's aim will be to do it right without making a big splash. Entering a turbulent time facing the sector, the airline said that it would not be lavish or over the top in the name of being a full-service carrier. Vistara is a joint venture with the Singapore Airlines. Some more international news now. In a fresh assault in Nigeria, Boko Haram militants killed over 100 people in the northeastern town of Baga. The attack comes after 3 militants captured a military base during last weekend. Over 10,000 Nigerians have fled the country fearing violence.
Militants have struck again in Nigeria. This time they killed over 100 people in a town called Baga and burned down houses on Thursday. Officials said that bodies were left strewn on the streets. A day after the carnage, hundreds of residents were seen fleeing the town. About 10,000 people are reported to have fled to Chad since Saturday to escape the violence, raising fears of a humanitarian crisis. This is the second such shooting spree since the militants seized control of a military base in the region. Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, who is seeking a re-election next month, condemned the attack in Paris, but did not make any comments on violence back in his own country. UN Chief Ban Ki-moon appealed for an end to the Islamist insurgency.
Nigeria must move forward. Nigeria is for the youth. Nigeria is not for old people like us. The youth must redefine this country. The young generation must redefine this country. We must take this country to where we want to go. Nobody can push us backward.
Aches at the thought of the suffering of the girls and boys kidnapped by the brutal extremist groups Boko Haram and Daesh. I would like to make a special appeal to the conscience of all those involved in senseless violence.
Back in April last year, Boko Haram had kidnapped 200 Nigerian girls. All of them still remain missing. Insurgency in African nation has so far claimed over 10,000 lives last year. The conflict has displaced at least 1.5 million people. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Now, rescuers hunting for the crashed Air Asia plane today detected pings believed to be from its crucial black box. The location of the ping is reported to be near to the place where the tail was found. It has raised hopes that the crucial clues will be obtained on why the plane went down. The head of search and rescue operations explained that their efforts are focused on refloating the tail section, which was found on Wednesday.
Upaya untuk mengangkat ekor sampai dengan detik ini diharapkan bagian ekor itu tidak rusak karena asumsi kita bahwa black box itu diharapkan masih berada di bagian ekor tersebut. Mencari black box masih dilakukan oleh KN Jadayat bersama tim KNKT untuk mendapatkan pinger di mana lokasinya atau sinyal dari black box sambil menunggu berhasilnya ekor diangkat.
Some sports now, and India faces a daunting task to save the fourth test on the last day at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Australia scored a quick-fire 250 runs for the loss of 6 wickets at the end of day 4 to take an overall lead of 348 runs in the match. Australian captain Stephen Smith and opener Chris Rogers and Joe Burns made half-centuries as Indian bowlers conceded 213 runs in the post-tea session. Off-spinner Ashwin was the most successful Indian bowler with 4 wickets. Earlier, India's first innings ended up at 475 runs. Captain Virat Kohli added only 7 runs to his overnight score, finishing with 147 runs. We'll get you all the other sports news in SportsBeat. Indian pair of Mahesh Bhupati and Saket Mainini lost the quarterfinals at the ATP Chennai Open to top seeds Leander Paes and Ravin Klaasen of South Africa in a hard-fought match. The Paes and Klaasen combination came from a set down to beat Bhupati and Mainini 1-6, 6-1, 10-7 in a keenly contested quarterfinal. The Indo-South African pair will next face unseeded Spanish duo of Pablo Carrena Busta and Guillermo Garcia Lopez. Poland will face the United States in the weekend final at the Hopman Cup. Jerzy Jankovic came through with a 6-4, 7-6 victory over Frenchman Benoit Paire to assure the Poles a spot in the second straight title match at the mixed team event. In an early match, Radwanska lost a marathon 3-set match to Elise Cornet. Top-ranked Novak Djokovic was upset by Ivo Karlovic of Croatia 6-7, 7-6, 6-4 in the Qatar Open quarterfinals. Playing through a sandstorm, Karlovic never offered Djokovic a breakpoint opportunity in the 2-hour, 15-minute match. Karlovic added 21 aces in the match to join Goran Ivanisevic and Andy Roddick as the only players to serve more than 9,000 aces in her career. Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.